Hello, it's kickoff time. So excited. This is Michelle Frost, if you're not sure who I am. And I run the Mission Mojo Facebook group, and I also run, Mission Mojo, and where I do coaching and things like that. If you're watching this, hopefully that means you're joining us in our challenge. So for the next 2 weeks, we're going to be writing a massive blog post, and then, we're going to do that in the first week. And in the second week, we're going to turn that, this is the bit I really like the most, we're going to turn that amazing piece of content that you've written, that amazing blog post or article, we're going to turn that into a whole lot of other bits of content that you can shoot out into the web and continually grow your presence on the web. Now, it's very exciting. I hope you're as excited as me. If you don't know who I am, I've been working online since 2002, creating digital products and selling them. I've recently come back from 18 months traveling the world with 3 of my children and my husband. Because we have an online business, it gives us that kind of freedom. Currently, we are living at the beach, although we're about to move back to our actual home because we've had some people renting our house until recently. They're actually still doing it now, but they should be moving out soon. But right this minute, I'm looking out the window. We're actually living at the beach. Unfortunately, it's raining, which isn't quite so nice at the beach, but it's still a magic environment. And we can do this and be so flexible and not have to be in one place all the time because we have digital income, because all of our income basically comes from the things we do on the web. So that's sort of how, hello everybody, hi, it's great to see you. And this is why we started Mission Mojo, or why I started Mission Mojo, is so that we could help as many people as possible actually be able to have some kind of freedom income. Now, one of the important parts with that is to create some kind of presence online for people to know who you are. And to do that, you need, Google actually needs text, and texts tend to be blogs in this sort of day and age. So that's why I thought, I hope this challenge is going to help you, because it certainly helped me, because I also struggle getting time to write long blog posts in order to put out there in the web and grow our presence. Now, why blog posts? Well, as I alluded to a minute ago, that's the way Google sifts through what's online. So when people go into a Google search, Google can't really read what's going on in a video very well, although they have some clever technology, or in images so well. What they really want to see is the text. So that's what it reads. It's just a computer. It's like lots of little robots. So having a blog post is actually going to really, really help. Hi, Petra, is going to really help you to increase your how visual you are, I guess, online. That's probably the best way to put it. So that's why we decided blogs. And why did I decide in the second week that I thought we should have a go at repurposing the blog posts, so turning them into other things like images and videos and slideshows and infographics and all of that kind of stuff. Really cool stuff. Well, number one, I really like doing that. That's kind of fun. That's more exciting for me in many ways than writing the blog post in the first place. But number two, it just grows. Like, you've created this piece of content. We're going to make it an epic piece of content. And all of a sudden, you've now got all these baby pieces of content which all relate back to this post that you've done that lives back on your website. And you send them all out across the web, the different social medias, and they'll all point back to your blog post. And hopefully, it's midnight in Petra. Midnight in Holland, Petra. Wow. Thank you for staying up. I appreciate it. If you do need to go to bed, I appreciate it. I will understand completely. Anyway, sorry, keep getting interrupted. It's lovely to see all these people coming in to say hello, especially people I know from all over the world. So that's why it's important, I think, and that's why I'm hoping that this will help not just you but me as well to push more of my stuff out there, so I can become more of an authority in what I know in the online space and help more people, and then you too can take that and help more people with what you know and become more of an authority in the online space as well. So, and the other thing about blogs is not only does it create an authority for who you are, and makes it easier for Google to find you, but it's also a longevity thing. So if you're creating decent pieces of content and they're living on your website, you're actually creating a really good foundation for your business, so a foundation for your website. So you probably know lots of stories, depending on how long you've been online, but I could certainly relate a lot of stories to you where people have come back to me and said, I wrote a blog 2 or 3 years ago. And at the time, it got a little bit of traction. A few people were interested in it. But it's actually still, when I look at my statistics, it's still sending people to me. And that was because it was a great piece of content written around some of the things we'll talk about over this week and some of the things that I've already put into our resource area. And that's why, because Google go, well, this is a great piece of content. So I'm going to keep sending people to it because it's still helping people. So that's another reason why creating great blogs or great blog posts and articles and having them live on your website is a great idea. You want people to go to your website too. You don't want people to just live in your social media. I don't want people to just live over here on my Facebook group. I mean, it's great and we can communicate and I think it's fantastic. But ultimately, the things that I do, my business tends to be on my blog, or not on my blog, but on my website, which is where my blog lives. And that's where you will want people to go because that's where your products and services are ultimately, and that's where they live. Because if everything that you do just lives in your social media platform, the social media platforms change all the time. Whereas if you own your website, so you have more control over it. So therefore you have more control over your business. Okay, so that's enough of my preaching. Please ask any questions you have. Just chuck them in the chat down the bottom and I will do my best to get to them at the end. I've already got a couple from December that she left for me, which is fantastic. Now, just wanted to tell you, so how's this going to work? So I've already written it up a couple of times and I've put it in, done a bit of a video about it, but this is going to be, so the first week we're going to write a blog. 1,500 words is the minimum. The reason for that is that all the studies are now showing, for all the reasons I said before, that is the minimum you want to write for a good authoritative piece. So it's a piece where you're saying, this is my opinion and these are all the reasons why, because you go and do a bit of research. And so it actually is a good piece of information that will stick on your website. So that's why it's 1,500 words. Hopefully in the process of writing that, you will learn a little bit more about how to create a blog post that is going to give you the kind of value that we've talked about. And then in the second week, as I suggested a minute ago, it's going to be the most fun because we will then take that fantastic work that you've done and create lots of other little bits of content, and we'll use that to spread it across and around the web. So things like images and infographics and videos and audios and things like that. So what we'll do is repurpose that content. And at the end of it, we're going to have a competition, and the person who has created the most pieces of content out of that one blog post will receive a prize, and the prize will be, yay, the prize will be, not only will they have lots of pieces of content out there on the web and therefore growing their business, but they'll get to spend 2 hours with me in 1 hour chunks where we will do some marketing strategy and see if we can't come up with a great marketing plan that'll help you move your business further even faster. But you'll also get access to my Quick Start digital product course as well. So hopefully that is enough to inspire you to get out there. Now, I just said my internet connection's weak, so hopefully you're still hearing me okay. So if you want to let me know that you're still hearing me, that would be great. I've got this, my phone's all sort of jigged up so that it doesn't fall over, and if I touch it too much, it might fall over and then I'll go sideways. So we don't need that right now. So hopefully you're still hearing me fine. Okay, now the actual writing of the blog, and this is something that most people find a bit stressing if you're not actually a writer, and I know we do have some writers on board. I think, do I get a comment? Yep, fine, excellent. Hello, Amy, fantastic. Thank you, Arindam, that's awesome. Now, I was going to say, so writing is something that many of us, I actually quite enjoy it. Lots of people don't. We do have some writers on board with us who are co-joining in the challenge. So we'll probably be asking them a lot of questions about how to really get into writing and make it stunning. But for those of us who still have to struggle a little bit, because I still have to push myself out in order to make it work properly, I have to make sure that I've put some good habits in place. So at the moment I'm trying to write a book as well as do this. So I'll put that aside for this week so that I can try and get this 1,500 words out, because I'm going to do it with you as well, because as I said, it's something I need to do too. So one of the ways that I've been trying to write this book is to be able to get up earlier. So most of us don't want to hear that because we already get up early enough, especially those of us who are mums with kids and we have to get them off to school and things like that. But, I have found that if you slowly start going to bed a bit earlier and then you slowly start getting up a bit earlier, it's not such a shock to the system. So that's one way, get up a bit earlier. They actually say that a lot of the experts that time in the morning when everything's kind of quiet is one of the best times to be able to tap into creativity. And I find I do actually write much quicker and much clearer as well. So perhaps that's one way, get up a bit earlier. The other thing that I do is I use the Pomodoro technique, which comes from the Italian, and it's about setting a timer for how long it takes tomatoes, which is Pomodoro is actually the word for tomato in Italian. So it's how long it takes a tomato to cook. But as a rule, I use about 25-minute blocks. And that's the point, is that you set a timer for 25 minutes. And for 25 minutes, all you do is that thing, whatever it is. So in this case, all you do is write in your blog. Or, you write your blog. Making it a habit too. So making it a habit every day. So for the next 7 days that you commit to making a habit to writing for 30 minutes, whatever it is that works for you. And in saying that, to make 1,500 words in 7 days, I've used my magic calculating skills, and that's about 215 I should say, words a minute. It's actually a little bit short of that, but if you do 215, you'll have a couple up your sleeve. So your blog post can be longer than that, but 1,500 words is what we're aiming for as our minimum. So 215 words actually take no time at all. You could easily do that in a day. So even if you do a lot of research today on day one and you choose the 6 days that are left to do all your writing, then you still probably, well, don't ask me to do public calculations, but it'll be a little bit more than 215, but not quite, it's still not very much and still very achievable. All right, so that's what I want you to do. Work out exactly how many days will you be writing out of the 7 days, and do a little calculation. Well, how many words do I need to write a day? And then commit to writing that a day. Whether you have to fit it in between picking the kids up from something, or first thing in the morning, or at lunchtime in the tea room, or whatever. Commit to actually getting that done. Excuse me. One of the people in the challenge who's a writer, and she's also one of my coaching students, Frankie, has suggested that I also point out to you there's a service called Grammarly. So there's a free version of it as well, but that will help you with your grammar, things like that. So think about going to have a look at that, because that'll help you when it comes to putting it all together. Which pulls me back into one of my big peeves that I wanted to mention to you, is when you're writing this blog post, perfection can be your enemy. Now, editing is an important part of the process, but I won't be dwelling on it a lot because I'm useless at it myself. And I do get a lot of content out there, and I think sometimes it's because I'm not a super duper perfectionist. And you might notice that in my emails, you might even notice it in my website. I do try and make things, it's still not very professional to have things that look, not finished or really bad when it comes to things like grammar, and services like Grammarly will fix that. But there are too many people out there who allow it's not ready yet to mean that they don't get it out, that they don't actually publish whatever it is they're writing, or they don't finish the course they're creating. So perfection can indeed be your enemy. So what I would like you to do when you're writing is not to edit as you're writing. And one of the techniques that I've heard in the past is to come up with some erroneous, crazy kind of thing, like a purple zebra or something, and you put that in, when you can't think of that word to think you're trying to get out, that you just write purple zebra, so that when you are reading it back later after you've finished your writing spurt, that it pops out as, oh, that's right, I got stuck there. And it won't be that you'll publish something that has purple zebras all through it. So that's one technique that you can do that will stop you, because perfectionism can even, and editing as you're going, they're quite related, and they can actually stop you creating right there, because I can't think of that word, or I can't think of what to do, or you get writer's block or whatever. So that I would do that. So just write in Oh, it doesn't have to be purple zebras, whatever works for you. And in the end, I mean, we will talk a little bit more about editing. I might even get some more tips from Frankie because she's a great editor herself. She edits for other people in a freelance way. So, but I don't want you to dwell on it because I do think that can become a perfection issue. It is important to put out great quality, and that's what we're doing. So don't get me wrong, but I don't hang your hook on perfectionism, please. I don't want you to do that. Now, I've created a bunch of videos. You may have already seen some of them. I put some of them in the Facebook group. The rest are over in our resource area, which has been password protected. So only the people who are getting the emails or the people who are in the Facebook group or watch this video, which will only be on the Facebook group, will know the password. So the password is just Mojo, so it's not difficult. And you'll find the resource page is actually underneath the challenge. So it's on missionmojo.com, mission-mojo.com. And then you'll see the challenge as a menu, and then the drop-down menu from under that, a child menu, which will say, I think it just says resources or something like that. Or it might just say challenge resource. So click on that, and then it'll ask you to put the password in. Anyway, in there, you'll see a whole bunch of videos which we've done on different parts of the process that we're going through, including how to come up with what it is you're going to blog about, because that's one of the biggest issues that we have. So go and have a look at some of those videos. It'll give you some ideas. It's by no means a full list of ways that you can come up with to work out what to blog about, but it does talk. We do talk a little bit about things like the keywords and what people are searching for and what pain points are, and trying to find out exactly what people out there in your industry want to know, because there's not much point you writing a blog post which is great and full of lots of content that if people aren't actually that interested and no one's actually searching for it, then it's not. I mean, it's fine. You may as well go and write in your diary, but you want to make something that people are going to want to come to and to ingest, if you like, and become part of your community. So go and have a look at those videos. One of the tips that if you never take anything from me apart from this, this is the thing that I would hope you will learn from me, and that is Google. It can be and is your best friend. So in this process, I would encourage you to go to Google. Don't just get information from me and from the group, although they are resources I want you to tap into, but also go to Google and say, best blogging tips, or go and find, there are people out there doing exactly what we're going to do for this next 7 days, and they're writing amazing content, especially in our industry, anybody working online. So go and have a look. What's the best practice now? What are people writing about? What are they telling us that we should write about? How are they telling us we should write? Go and have a look. I promise you, I've had a look and there is heaps of it out there and it's great. So learning how to use Google would be the thing that I hope that you take from me. And so crafting the right question to put into Google, and a lot of that is just practice, just doing it over and over again until you get the answers you're after. Often that's it, all you need to do. So in this process, if you get stuck or you're not sure, go and do that. If the answers aren't in the group and they're not over in the resource centre, and you've asked me and you're still a little bit stuck, then please go Google it, because there is some really good stuff out there. People doing just what we're doing now. Now, another thought as well is to bounce a few ideas around in the group, as I just sort of alluded to. So you could come and ask us and we can all help out, work as a bit of a team. That'd be great. You could also try and find a buddy in the group. So see if anybody wants to buddy up and help you, bouncing ideas around between the two of you. That always works. So like an accountability partner. I've always used those in the past and found them really, really helpful. So there are a couple of ideas to kind of work out what you're going to write about this week. So now, one of the things I'd like you to think about is that the topic you choose is evergreen. When I say evergreen, that means it will still be just as relevant in maybe 5 years' time as it is right now, so that it has a really good chance of being a great foundation piece in your business, on your website and in your blog. So, and the strategies that I want to teach you about, which will be about creating a marketing plan that has a whole bunch of evergreen content in it that maybe goes for 3 to 6 months, will mean that if you want to, you can actually do a 3 to 6 month cycle in a marketing plan where you shoot all of that information out to social media every 3 to 6 months in sort of a cyclic way. And it means that you've done all your work to get that content, that marketing done by writing the evergreen posts, and then you could just reuse them for 5 years or whatever, because people aren't going to see that that content isn't just relevant for now, it's relevant all of the time. And where you're going to share them in places in social media, that content lasts for like seconds sometimes, or minutes, and rarely days. So if you share something that you shared 3 months ago, or even for me a week ago or whatever, people aren't going to go, oh, you've already shared that, I don't need to, because they may not have seen it that first time, they may not remember, they may be new clients. So there is all of that kind of stuff going on. So evergreen content is best. So if you can come up with an evergreen topic, then I would suggest that you go with that. I think about whether you can weave story into it. And when I say story, I mean reflections on things that have happened in your life, or reflections on things that have happened in other people's lives, because us as humans, we're very much storytellers and we like listening to stories. So if you can weave some kind of story in, then that will work a treat. The same goes for case studies, and I guess they're sort of a similar kind of medium, but if you can use case studies, then again that will keep people interested and in reading more of what you're writing. So, and it also goes to prove whatever it is you're saying too. So when you do the research, think about doing a lot of brain dumping. So actually writing. So I tend to write a lot. Sort of have heaps of. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm pretty much writing most of the time. Mostly because I write faster than I type. It does mean I can't read it sometimes later because I'm writing so fast, but it gets it out of my head, and I'm actually brain dumping. So do some brain dumping, get stuff down so that you can get it out of your head and start thinking about it. Now, I hope this is coming across well to you. I'm not sure. Let me know if it's all, you can hear me properly and I'm not losing you. That's good. Excellent. So yeah, brain dumping, always taking notes. And when I say that, the other thing that I do, because you should always be creating content. Excellent. Thanks, Amy. I had to get up because the phone's down there. Putting it on your, I was going to say, so I have notes on my phone, like most people now. So some people take around a piece of paper and a pen, and that's fine. I just don't tend to mostly always have my phone with me. And so if I think of a topic or I see something somewhere, I'll actually write it down in my phone. The other thing that I wanted you to think about a little bit, and I know I'm sort of shooting around all over the place at the moment, but one of the tips that I've always given away in a lot of the training that I've done in the past is that when you're standing in the supermarket queue, now this is probably... But we've all stood in supermarket queues, but there are magazines that are there, and those people have paid thousands and thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, to do market research on the headings that you see on those magazines, the things that make you pick up the magazine and flick through it to see, well, what are they talking about? 5 tips to the most awesome life I could ever have, whatever. Take note of what they are, because those tips, those headings can be very, very useful and can be reused by you. Hello, Amanda. Again, get your phone out. And this is what made me think of it. Get your phone out, put that into your notes. If you see one that pops for you, then that is something that you could reuse. It could be 5 tips for whatever relating to your business, your industry. But yeah, they've spent lots of money coming up with those headings, lots and lots of money in marketing. So, take advantage of it and try and introduce that into your business in some way. Hi. Sorry, I have to keep getting up because the phone is the computer's obscuring the phone, the actual chat. So that's another little tip because one of the things that you need to come up with is your heading. Now your heading it's one of the things we often leave to last. Some people, when they're writing, they'll do it first, but often people, they leave it to last, and it's actually a bit of a mistake in some ways, because I don't then put enough effort into it because they're quite exhausted. I've just written this long blog post and now I've got to write a heading. And if you can make your heading something that really sells what it is that you've put in there, that's half the job done. Getting people to that post is mostly the heading, and that's what people will see initially. So getting that heading right is actually worth spending some time on. Now, I do have a video in the resource area, which is about getting some headings and how you can do that. So there's you can use heading analyzers and those kind of things to craft a really good heading. Again, Google that, heading analyzer, and you'll come up with a whole bunch of different options there. I think there's also a whole lot of places where you can go and put lots of keywords, and it'll actually help you create a bunch of different headings as well. So, coming up with a great heading is actually the first step in great marketing for this blog post that you're creating. So that's one thing to think about. Let me see with my list. Now, when you're actually writing the blog, making sure that it flows easily, because once you get people there with your fantastic heading, you actually want them to stay there. You want them to read that entire, they don't 1,500 words, because you want them to be, they want to get to the next bit. You want to try and make it so that people are excited. If they just get there and it's one great big chunk of text, that's hard to read, and you'll frighten some people away. They'll just go, oh no, that's ugly or whatever. So break up your blog post by using things like images, by using lists, of course. You can pull out quotes. They don't have to be quotes from other people. They can even just be quotes from within the body of what you've written, and you can just pull them out and you put them in italics. Everyone's seen it done, and with the little speech marks on the side, and that just breaks it up, okay? And it makes it much easier for people to scan. Even things like graphs you can put in there. Again, go and Google, best practice for blogs or how to create a great blog, and they'll tell you about, things like creating your introduction, your body, and your conclusion. All of those things are important, but breaking up the actual flow so that when people are scanning because not everybody will just start at the top and read slowly through. Many people will come and scan it first and then go, okay, back to the top, and then they'll read the whole thing through. So breaking it up is a really good idea. The other thing I want you to think about is don't be sitting on the fence. Whatever you decide to write about, have an opinion, because this blog post is putting your business forward. People want to know, like, and trust you. If they want to do business with you, they need a bit of your personality. If it's just you sitting on the fence going, oh, yes, you could do this, and yes, you could do that, you kind of come across as a bit wishy-washy. So what you need to do is have an opinion, form an opinion, and put the pros and cons of that opinion, if you like, in that post. But make sure your personality comes across. If you don't have an opinion, then your personality won't come across. So hopefully you're all emotive enough about what it is that you do that you won't have too much of a problem having an opinion. It'll just be how you want to express it. So that's a pretty important point, and it's something I have to work on every day, because I don't know whether women tend to be people pleasers. You don't want to put people off, and you don't want people to think negatively of you or whatever, and so you always sort of have a bit both ways. And that can come off as pretty wishy-washy. It's actually a bit better to be a little bit controversial sometimes, as long as you actually believe in what you're saying and that you can back it up. So do that. Now, I hope, is that making sense? Has anyone got any questions at the moment about what I've said already, or about how to go forward? No? I'll get up off my chair a little bit so I can see the comments. Oh, excellent. I'm obviously covering everything. So what I want you to do now every day, so the actual challenge, and the reason we're doing this is so that we can all work together as a group and have a little bit of accountability. And I've found every time I've done challenges in the past, the actual act of what it is I have to do in the challenge actually makes me do the challenge, and I get done what I need to do. Now, what you have to do every day for the next 7 days is come to the Mission Mojo group and type in your word count. Okay, so that's your accountability. All right, you're more than welcome to come over there and we'll chat and we'll bounce ideas around and try and help people bash out what they're going to write about. We'll help people bash out any headings that they might be, they want us to choose between a couple of different headings. That's fine. But every day I would like everybody to come over and actually type in, just report how many words they've written in the day. If you haven't written anything, just write 0. Okay? So the idea is that the act of you doing that will encourage you to actually write at least some, because most of us don't want to write 0. So I'm going to have to do some writing myself today so that I don't have to write 0. So is that clear? That's a pretty easy, your actual accountability, what you have to do is pretty easy. It's getting the writing in the background that you may not find quite so easy. But again, we're here to help. So we're going to work together as a group to try and encourage each other. Which brings me back to going into the Mission Mojo group. Feel free to introduce yourselves and we all get to know each other a bit more so that we can see who's got what strengths and how we can help each other out as well. That would be great. So we can do this as a team rather than just individuals sitting alone staring at white pieces of paper or a white screen, which isn't any fun at all. So how do I actually write into usually just a note document because it on my Mac, because it doesn't have all the other bits and pieces around it. So when I copy and paste, the formatting stays, it's pretty plain, and then I can do what I like over on the blog. So that's one thing I do. We will talk a little bit later, but I have included a small tutorial on Canva. Many of you may already have used Canva, but it's a free, has pro versions as well, but it's a free online image editor, but it has some fantastic templates there that you can use, including all the right sizes for different social medias and things like that. We'll probably use it a bit more in week 2, but in this week, I want you to be able to go there and create an image to go with your blog, because you do need an image, because every time you're going to share it, the image that you come up with is what's going to be seen in social media. It also can be a place that you can create your infographic, if you want to create an infographic that sits inside, or any other images that might sit amongst the body of your blog post in order to break it up. So go and have a look. If you haven't looked at Canva, go and have a look. If you want a quick rundown on some of the things that you can do with it, go and have a look in the Resource Centre at the short video that I did for you. Because I think not only does Google really like text, but people really like images. So that's what we have to do, is to also create images that go along with the content that we create. So getting a little bit friendly with a service like Canva will really help you. So we're going to end up at the end of 7 days with a blog post that's about 1,500 words long or longer. And hopefully I'll probably do a little bit more image stuff towards the end of this week, so that you actually do think a little bit about the image that you create. But it'll also have an image, like a blog image, so that you can then post it. And then at the very end of the week, I would actually like you all to post the link to your blog. So that would be awesome. I think I've covered everything I have in my list. Yep, that's looking good. So I'm hoping you're as excited as me about this challenge, because I'm really, really excited. It's so fun. Mostly because it's going to help me get out there and do a bit more than I need to do. So thank you for playing along to help me have some accountability. Hopefully it will also help you have some accountability as well. As I said, I'm not going to go into great depth about how to write a blog post. These are just lots of fantastic, well, hopefully good tips to help you, which will get you started. But doing a Google search, using the Facebook group, they're all ways that we can support each other and end up coming up with something that's going to work really well, and something that you can repeat again in the future. So this whole challenge is something that you can do a lot of rinse and repeating in the future. I might even run the challenge, or if it works well, we might, and we can refine it, I might run the challenge a bit more as well, over and over again. Now I know I got a question. Oh, thanks, Amanda. I'm glad that helped. I had a question left earlier, actually 2 by December. She said, how many blog posts a week or a month do I recommend? Now, that's a bit like how long is a piece of string? Because if you go back to how much content you should create online, if we go back to what we were talking about earlier, and that is building this big foundation, obviously, and some of the really big, the Huffington Post, the really big properties out there on the web, they're creating lots and lots of content every day because they have lots of guest bloggers that come in and put in there. So the more you can create, the better. However, using the strategy that we're doing at the moment, 1 to 2 blog posts a month would be okay. Ideally, in my head, you should be doing 1 big blog post a week. And if you can get to a stage where you do that and you're predictable, like every Monday you put out your blog post or every Tuesday or whatever, so that the people who follow you actually see, they come to expect it, and then you're actually providing this regular great content. That's really good. However, we're doing this it's just for this month, and you could do it, I guess, twice in a month like we're doing. So the first week you write it, and the second week you create a whole bunch of baby content, repurposed content based on that article. And so you're actually giving that article a lot more life, if you like, by doing that, and a lot more places, touch points where people can find that content. They're not just going to see the blog post that you share on Facebook or Twitter. They're actually going to see an infographic that you, sorry, that was the cat, an infographic that you put on Twitter that then points back to the blog post for more information. Or they might watch a video on YouTube that's been created based on the blog post you did, and then they want more information. They'll click on the link that's in YouTube and end up back on your blog, which is on your website. So, it is the more the better, but I think using this technique you can do less if you like. Plus, in the future, I might teach you a little bit more about automation, because apart from writing the blog post in the first place, which actually you can outsource, but we won't go into that now, but apart from writing the blog post in the first place, there are a whole lot of things you can do to automate the marketing of it and the creating of these, some of these repurposed pieces of content. You can actually automate them being created, and emails going out to your list as well. Actually, that's something I didn't talk about. This is Gemma. Sorry, Gemma really likes to be a movie star. So, something I did mean to mention was making sure that there is a call to action of some sort on your website. So for me at the moment, it's just an email form where people can sign up to get some business tips. One of the videos that I've got in the Resource Centre actually talk a little bit about a way you can do that better, because I'm not doing it very well either, and I can do that better, and I probably should take my own advice and go and do it better. But giving people a way to be able to give you their email address is actually pretty important for the longevity of your business as well. There's been heaps of studies done that email is one of being able to email people who already know you in some way. There's a lot less resistance to them listening to what it is you have to sell or what you're doing online. So having a list is actually a very valuable commodity, especially if you treat it well and you look after them. So all of this stuff we're doing, hopefully you have something that people may want on your website, and even if you're giving away something free for their email, then that's a really good place to start. She's just going to keep walking across the camera. This is why I was patting her to try and stop her doing that. She'll stand on the computer in a minute. Hello, Anna. Anna just joined as well. Welcome. And the last question that December had was, can it be more than 1,500 words? And I guess I've covered that. So yes, it can definitely be more than 1,500 words. There's been some, I was doing some research before setting up the challenge, and there's been some epic pieces put out there that they're almost a novel. Yeah, I don't have time to write those kind of things, at least not in a blog post, maybe in a book. So, but I would say for now, 1,500 to 2,500, even up to 3,000 is probably, you don't need to be looking much more than that. It depends what you're writing. And you can also then, if you need to write more, you can write a series. So you could do a blog post series that went, 3 or 4 series of 1,500 words. And then people will be looking forward to the next instalment. And then if they happen to come across it, 2 years after you've done the series, then you'll find that they'll follow through and you can link them all together. So there's some cool things you could do that way as well. So, all right, I think I've answered all the questions. Oh, So Anna's one of my coaching students, and she said the baby it's just a sleep. So she only has about 30 minutes. But that's okay because I've finished, I think. But this is a recording. So, well, it is recorded. It's not a recording. Right this minute we're live, which is exciting. I am planning to come in and do something live every day at 8 a.m. Australian time, because I don't think I told you earlier at the very beginning, but I'm actually in Australia. You could probably tell my voice. In Tasmania, actually, which is the island off the bottom of Australia, for those who don't know. So I'm planning to at least check in live every day. I may have something that's come up that I want to talk about to help you a little bit more. Or it may just be to check in. If you've got any questions, it can be a live Q&A. You can leave your questions as well. I'll put up a little Canva image inside the blog post probably the day before, the evening before. So I'll do one tonight, and you can leave any questions you have there if you have any. And I'll answer them live the next day. And then the live videos will go up in the Facebook group, and I'll also download them and put them over into the resource centre. So if you don't have any more questions at the moment, I will go and luckily everyone's been very quiet here today because I think they're all still in bed, apart from the cat. I'll go and get them all up and have some breakfast. So I do hope this is helpful. I hope you're as excited as me. I'm very excited that you all want to join and get this challenge going. So apart from that, if you've got no questions, I'll say goodbye. And thank you. Thanks for turning up. It's been great to see you here. And, let's knock this out of the park. Let's turn it into some bit of magic for all of us. All right. Love you all. Thanks for being here. I have to get up and press way down here. Bye.